Edu FM presents What's in the Oven Bake Off Competition Round 2. Welcome back, everyone. We are here back at Better Acting Practical Institute, and we have two schools competing for the trophy today, coming from the first round, the elimination round, with a maximum score of 46 out of 50. We have West Demerara Secondary, following with their 41 out of 50 points, Christianburg Wismar Secondary. They will be going toe to toe in today's pastry making competition. These teams will both have 1.5 hours to prepare two filling tarts, Guyanese traditional recipe style. We are excited to be here, and back with us, our chief judge, Miss Nadia Hollingsworth, is ready to do exactly what she did in the last round, which is judge fairly, judge squarely, and judge based on our internal rubric as well as the CSEC moderation style rubric. Coming to bring her level of expertise, we have the one and only Dr. Charmaine Marshall, principal of the Carnegie School of Home Economics. She will also be judging with us today. And last but certainly not least, a whiz in the pastry making industry, right out of the household name Maggie Snackett, we have Mr. Farrant Maxwell, senior pastry chef over there at the company. We're excited to have them all, and we cannot wait to see their judging and get some feedback. Teams, best of luck to you. Please remember that you have 1.5 hours to complete your task today. After every 15 minutes, you will hear the usual ding. Counting down to the final 10 minutes, you will hear the double ding. And for the last 30 seconds, you will have your countdown. Again, best of luck. Let the baking begin in 3, 2, 1, go. West Demerara Secondary entered this round strong and confident, having already won the first round with the highest points.
We're doing a cherry and a guava filling, and we chose these two because they were just the best flavors and they were the easiest jams to make.
One recipe I'm watching for is the jam making and my ingredients and how I'm adding it in. But on the contrary, everything else, I think it would go according to plan.
If we were to win today, it would mean a lot to us because it would show that all our hard work and efforts really paid off and that we deserve it.
Christianburg Wismar Secondary were a little shaken. Their teacher had not told the team that they needed to make the filling on site, making them pivot from one of their planned cherry fillings to a mango filling, since that was the only fruit they could get on short notice.
We didn't get any cherries available because we didn't know that we had to make them from scratch until today. Zesty mango flavor because we're adding lemon zest as our secret ingredient.
For their fillings, West Demerara chose guava and cherry as one of their contestants had a pine allergy. Right from the jump, a stubborn blender gave Christianburg some trouble. This, coupled with a too thickly made crust, tried to slow them. But Renee and Jadeo fixed the dough while everyone settled into clearer rolls. Jadeo rolling for the tart, Renee molding cups for their mango mini pies. Taking the judges' feedback from round 1, each team member of West Demerara immediately went to work on their planned roles.
Well, my role is guava jam making. Michael's role is the pastry dough making, the pastry dough making, and Abida's role is the cherry jam making. Well, we figured out that Michael is best with the pastries and I'm best with the jam, and so is Abida. Currently trying to get as much juice from the seeds as possible because we cannot use the seeds because it will not blend. So we wouldn't want any obstruction when having the jam.
When the judges visited their station, they were a little concerned.
One of the things I thought about though is why they would have chosen two fruits, because there are other filling for tarts, such as custards and so on, that could have been used. which would have made it much more easier for them. So they would have had one screwed maybe and another one,
Christianburg, also taking the round one judges' feedback to heart, was a little more efficient in their designated roles, with Judeo assisting with the tidying up as well as rolling the dough for the pine tart, while Renee molded the pastry cups for the mango mini pies. In a lovely show of sportsmanship, when West Demerara discovered their measuring cup was a bit too big to measure their butter, Christianburg was happy to assist.
Sometimes the cherry could be sour and the guava could be sometimes sour, so make sure we have the right amount of sugar so we can balance the taste. A thick consistency.
Things appeared to be moving smoothly, but like the first round, a twist was on its way.
Teams, your first 15 minutes of the competition has just elapsed. And just like the last time, there is a twist that you, I hope, are prepared for. With your second filling, you are not allowed to use any processed sugar. Because of that, we ourselves have given you 2 secret ingredients that you will be utilizing instead of your sugar. Whoever is ready for their second filling, on this side, you have 2 covered basins. Whoever is ready, you get to uncover what is either behind door number 1 or 2, and you will be utilizing that instead of the sugar. I don't know what it is. You don't know what it is, but that is what you will be using. I hope you're ready, because if you're not, things might not be sticky enough for you.
With a choice between 2 hidden sweeteners for their second filling, the students approached the station and blindly chose their new ingredient. Christianburg, bold as ever, were the first to pick. They uncovered the maple syrup. Though Onaya had never used it in this manner before, she was confident and ready to experiment.
I love this. I got maple syrup.
This left West Demerara with option 2, honey. Both sweeteners would pose challenges to our 2 teams. With a bit too much water in their cherry filling, the added honey would slow down the thickening of West Dem's second filling.
For the cherries, because we added honey, it changed the consistency of the jam, making it more watery than it's supposed to be. I think we need a bit more honey because it's not as sweet as it should be. And for the guava, it's coming along really well, but you need to leave it to boil and to thicken before I add my lime juice. Currently we're having Michael work on the dough. So as soon as the dough is finished, hopefully the jam will thicken and we can have time to cool it and plate it before we're ready to fold it and put it in the oven.
The maple syrup would pose a similar challenge for Christianburg. Their filling was not thickening quickly enough.
By we are giving maple syrup, we got to get a little bit more thicker. I don't know. I hope we could bake it within 30 minutes.
Over at the judges panel, there was a noticeable worry that the team would not be able to finish in time due to the large quantities they appeared to be making.
I recommend, well, for my recommendation, I would prefer they cut it in half or quarter the amount, as a small amount of batch you need to do, not a large amount.
I've noticed that they're going to definitely have problem with time. Their quantity is too much. The method that they are choosing it wouldn't help.
I think that proportion, measurement, and techniques are a bit concerning. But what I would recommend is that persons entering competitions like these get involved in the practicing more, before the competition, practice and do some research. It definitely helps.
When the time came around for baking, Team Christianburg realized that their oven had accidentally been turned off, so they had to use another preheated oven. Fortunately for them, although West Dem's oven was already heated, they were not ready to bake. Time was quickly running out for Team West Dem. As time was against them, the team hoped that once the fillings were ready, they could get their tarts baked off in just 15 minutes, which was all the time left for the competition.
So at this point, it's coming together really nicely. And all I can say is interesting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see what the final product is going to be like.
Just when it looked like the time would run out, the judges granted an extra 10 minutes. This was a relief to both teams, especially West Dem.
Our consistency was not as I anticipated it to be. A lot of things went wrong while making the jam, but nevertheless, during the cooling process, it started to come together. But I don't know what's gonna happen there when it's gonna bake. I think we added too much water, in addition to adding the honey as well. And for the guava jam, it needed a bit more time, but we did not have enough time. So I needed to quicken the process by putting it in an ice bath. It came together, but not fully. I am really nervous. I'm praying for the best. I've been praying throughout this entire process. I just pray that God does a miracle in that oven and something will happen there.
Christianburg took full advantage of this and was able to finish baking and plating within the allotted time frame, despite their baking taking longer during the practice. With just barely enough time, West Dem managed to finish baking and plating their tarts, although not nearly as completely as they would have liked. Onaya from Christianburg was proud to present her team's traditional pine and mango tarts to the judges. To give their pastries a twist, they added lime zest and skim milk to the recipe. Though she was very confident about the maple syrup, Onaya told us that the pine tarts baked a little slower than originally anticipated. Glazing their tarts with egg yolks, they placed their tarts in the oven for about 25 minutes. Stating that they had more mango tarts to present than the required 12, Onaya closed off by saying that she was proud of the team's overall pastry presentation. Taking the mic from her competitor, Kadia of West Demerara Secondary presented traditional Guyanese fruit tarts. She firstly presented Kaimaripa tarts. The name, Kadia explained, translates to guava and is an Amerindian term serving as a nod to Indigenous Heritage Month. With their secret ingredient being ginger, the team's second tarts were dubbed cherry cream tarts, with the addition of honey instead of sugar. She described that the honey posed a little challenge but still came out better than they expected. Kadia also shared the team's techniques, from aerating their flour by hand to using forks to secure the ends of their tarts from unraveling in the oven. These methods all worked towards a successful finish of their pastry. Ferrant Maxwell commended the management and texture of the tarts, but noticed that it was a little too bready. He recommended that instead of their choice of filling, Christianburg could have gone with a cream or coconut filling, both of which were easier and could have saved them some time. He liked their presentation, but again noted that more effort could have been placed on it. For West Demerara Secondary, he tagged their work as a fairly good job, but just like their competition, he noted that their filling could have been different, stating that the cherry filling was not optimal for use. Dr. Sharman Marshall started by congratulating both schools, touting their efforts as an excellent work in progress. The principal of the Carnegie School of Home Economics shared that she was looking for more creativity and individuality when it came to the styling of the recipe. Both schools, Dr. Marshall observed, handled the pastry dough too roughly despite it being a short crust pastry. For Christianburg, she commended their use of mangoes but suggested that they add more spices and sweetness to the mix to bring about maximum flavor. Echoing the words of Mr. Maxwell to West Demerara, Dr. Marshall chided the team for their use of cherries as a filling but applauded the use of guava, though stating a little coloring and cornstarch for thickness could have been incorporated. On the front of the presentation, Dr. Marshall expected a little bit more coming out of the team. Our chief judge kept most of her comments general. Starting off, she described both participants' set of fillings as fair, but like before, stated that they did not give the bold flavor factor she was looking for. Commending too the use of mangoes by Christianburg, she echoed the sentiments of Dr. Marshall, where the addition of sugar and more spices like cinnamon could have tipped the scales in their favor. Known for her frank advice, our chief judge, Miss Nadia Hollingsworth, described both teams' pastries as lacking flakiness, which she attributed, like Dr. Marshall, to the rough handling of the mixture and perhaps even the measurements of the ingredients.
When it comes to the shapes of the tarts, there is much more to a tart than a triangular shape or the cup shape that you would have done. And we were wondering why you would have chosen to use 2 fruits other than you could have gotten a custard tart, which would have taken you less than 5 minutes to make. You could have chosen a coconut tart using the desiccated coconut, probably a filling, something like what you use for Solara, right? A tart is sweet. And so it's not limiting the filling to a fruit and also a shape. You could have rolled, filled, and cut.
As both students and home economics teachers were questioning the initial 1.5-hour time limit, our chief judge had this to say.
The 1.5 hour, it wasn't really unreasonable because you have 5 or 6 dishes to prepare at CSEC within 2.5 hours. And here you had 1 dish, which we expect the 1 pastry. You just had to put a little thought in it to think about maybe 1 fruit and we use something else, right? So the time wasn't unreasonable. One of the things I would have done first is to put my syrup on the stove. And as it started to thicken, then is when I would have added my fruit. So you could have had something like a chunky pineapple tart. You didn't have to blend it. You could have cut it, dice it, and the cherry was a bad choice with them. When you're making jam, you look for fruits that are high in pectin content, and apple would have been a better choice.
Before revealing the results, Ms. Hollingsworth also encouraged the students to utilize modern-day technology to their advantage.
We're in the age of technology where you can just Google and you will have so many ideas for decorating your tarts, and so probably dredging with some icing, sugar, and all those things that would have made your appearance a little more up. Nonetheless, we have our scores. For a Christianburg Wismar, 1 judge would have given you 27 points. The other judge would have given you 26 points. And the other judge would have given you 25 points. A total of 26 divided by, when we add and divided by 3, and we add the CSEC moderated score, which is 10 out of 15 you were given, you have a score of 36. For Wesdem, 1 judge would have given you 25 points. The other judge would have given you 26 points. The other judge would have given you 20 points to bring the final point to 24 plus 10, which gives you 34 points. So, Wismar Christianburg with 36 points and West Demerara with 34 points. And that's the final score in today's competition.
I feel good.
Congratulations to all 3 teams for participating in the first ever What's in the Oven Bake-Off competition. And an extra special congratulations to our winning school, Christianburg Wismar Secondary. Be sure to follow EduFM and the Ministry of Education for updates on more projects like this.